shift the way you lead, the way you live. Clarity, courage, change. Because your next level won't wait. This is Monday MindShift. The clarity you've been craving. The shift you didn't know you needed. Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you might be joining from. Glad to have you here. As you know, I'm Sean Michael, the Identity Disruptor, here with Monday MindShift. And I'm just going to give this a few minutes to see who comes in. Go ahead and drop in the comments. Hello. How are you? Where you're joining from? Because the systems tell me how many viewers, but that's all I get. Without your comments, I don't know who's watching. And it's also the place where we can engage. You can ask questions, you can share your ideas. And that's really what my vision for Monday MindShift was that it's a conversation. It's not the Sean show, right? I could just post on YouTube and have the Sean showed, but that's not what I was aiming at. I wanted to have a conversation, to share thoughts, ideas together. So love to hear from you. I appreciate you if you're joining live, that you've taken the time out of your busy schedule to be here, to listen, to engage. And even if you're on replay, it's the same thing. I know you've carved time out of your schedule, and that's appreciated. Glad to be here. And what's been going on for everybody? It's been a busy week for me, getting ready for, keeping this going, working at getting back on track with my podcast and posting on the newsletter, getting settled in the new house, because as you might know, if you didn't already see this, new background, no more green. As Merrill said, he doesn't miss it. I don't miss it either. We've moved to a new house in a new city, and things are going great. Although routines are still not in place. Like, we're just kind of like a ping pong ball in a blender, bouncing around, living life. And honestly, is there anything wrong with that? Yeah, no, for me. What are your thoughts? Is it important to have routines, or are you more open to living life in the moment, right? Seize the day, seize the moment. I try to balance, right? Routines are good because they help us remember things, they help us make sure things get done that we want to get done. And at the same time, we can get trapped in those routines. Chase, welcome from Louisiana. New name, new face. Glad to have you join. How'd you hear about us? Let me know. And I also realized that there is a massive delay between studio and LinkedIn. So a lot of times when I speak, it takes several seconds before I see the responses. So let's keep that in mind. I try to keep that in mind all the time, that responses are not instant. Unfortunately, this is the system we have, and I work with it. Anyway, so let me not spend too much time wandering around and just saying hi, but hello, thank you for your time, and welcome to Monday MindShift. Last week, I brought up a single question, and that was, what would you have to believe about yourself to fully own what you've already built? Today's Monday MindShift is about a follow-up to that. And let me be honest, I didn't generate this idea. This was shared a few weeks ago when we were doing the discussion about outgrowing the people who knew you first. And Rob Unger dropped a question in the comments. 5 simple words. What if you have 6 rooms? Welcome, Sharon. Glad to have you. And Judy, greetings over there in Baltimore, Maryland. If Rob hears this, and I hope he does, in fact, I probably will tag him in a comment later so that he does see this, since it was his question that inspired this. And know that, like, share ideas. Like, I'm open to what you want to hear about. What do you want to talk about when it comes to identity, about living into our true self, right? My tagline is stop performing, start becoming, right? Many times in life, we've been performing to a standard that isn't even ours, right? We adopted it, it was conditioned to us. And when we have the wake up call, however it comes, things shift, right? We start to peel back the layers and understand that's not who I'm meant to be. That's not who I am at my true core. And that's the core of what I'm about, is like not brand label authenticity, but like true authenticity. Who am I really? And am I the same in every room? Or am I still managing a staff? So, Rob, I've been sitting with this question since June. Today, I'm giving it the full time. And Liana, welcome. Well, thank you to Veronica Chase. Glad to have you here. That episode was about the room we leave, and Rob's question was about the rooms that we keep, right? And I would say that's the more difficult problem. That's the bigger challenge. So, what if you do have 6 rooms? Before I add anything else, I want to say this. Put a number in the comments. Tell me, how many rooms are you still holding on to? Maybe it's the board version of you, the one for old friends, that version your family expects at those family gatherings. Perhaps it's the version of you that clients first met when you first began in your business or in your work. Count those up, put the number in the chat. Looking forward to seeing that. Thanks for that tag, Sharon. So I'm giving it a few seconds to see those numbers. Just drop a number. Is it 2 rooms? Is it 5 rooms? Is it 6, like Rob said? How many rooms are you still occupying? Or another way, how many versions are you managing of you? Now, a lot of people might just describe that as adaptability or having emotional intelligence. I've even heard it called reading the room. And honestly, yeah, that's true. Those aren't wrong. A lot of times we are reading the room. We are engaging our emotional intelligence. We are adapting to a level because of the room that we've entered. But what I know from my own experience and from those I've worked with, for high achievers, high performers, there's often something running underneath that. We're not reading rooms, we're staffing them. We have a custom version of ourself that's assigned to each of those doors we walk through. We know the specifications. Perhaps we've maintained it for years. And LinkedIn's going to tick me off, man. It keeps crashing for me. But here's what I want you to sit with today. You don't have 3 rooms. You don't have 6 rooms. You don't have 4 rooms. You have that many employees. And they're all you. And when this really matters is when we start looking at payroll. Because the cost, it's not in any single performance. You're good at that. The cost is running translation in parallel. Every day, all day, we're running this translation system. And I know from being bilingual, that's exhausting. Well, being a high performer and bilingual, translating all the time, it's exhausting. So whether I'm translating my identity or my persona, or if I'm translating another language, it's exhausting. I was working with somebody once. Yay, Rob's here. Yes, Rob, you're the inspiration for today's topic, the 6-room question. Because of your comment back in June, when we were talking about leaving the rooms that we know we should, and still being in 6 rooms. Anyway, so someone I was working with told me his drive from home to his office was about 20 minutes. And that identity shift to get ready for that version of himself also took about 20 minutes. So let me reframe that. And, normally we would call that our commute, but he wasn't commuting. He was clocking out of one job and into another. And I understand what you're saying, Sharon. And I'm not saying that we can't have nuance and applicable boundaries for different audiences. And we can exercise it's about looking at it closely, right? Are we adapting intentionally for the purposes that we're there, right? Obviously, you're going to have a different persona at home to a degree than you will have at a workplace or a networking event or a LinkedIn Live. But I feel like the difference is, am I doing it out of some perceived necessity? Or am I doing it intentionally? Like realizing that this audience needs a different version of me because of the context, right? It's all about context, motivation, intention in my mind. And maybe some of you are feeling this somewhere in your body. If you are, that's good. I want you to stay with that because our body often knows, our nervous system knows before we can consciously generate the idea of what's happening. So let me look at comments. Yeah, like Judy, mother, entrepreneur, teacher, very, very common, right? Obviously, when you're dealing with your kids as a mother, it's going to be slightly different from working with clients or working on collaboration or teaching, right? A lot of people are building a solopreneur business while working a full time job. So, of course, there are different contexts. So, yes, there's going to be some adaptation. We need to be emotionally aware to practice our emotional intelligence. I even find, conversational intelligence, right? What is the conversation I'm in? There are certain things in different conversations that I can openly share. And there's other times where I'm going to protect that or it doesn't fit. I'm not discounting that. Absolutely. Carrying work and life. Yeah. And that's a balance, Rob. You know, being able to balance that, right? Work and the burdens that work brings, coming home and, you know, you want to be present. We want to be present for our family, for our loved ones. Yeah. EQ, IQ, CQ, PQ. There's a lot of intelligences, and we want to raise all of those as high as we can, right? Exactly, Sharon. There are thresholds, right? If I just meet someone, I'm going to be more careful about how much of myself or what I share about myself because it's a new relationship. With an old friend I've known for decades who knows everything about me, I can be totally open, right? No secrets. Like my wife. Obviously, I share a lot of things with her I don't share with anybody else. And it's not because I'm being inauthentic, it's because the context isn't right, right? I'm teaching, that's one thing I'm teaching my son is context, 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 context. Screaming loudly, running around like a wild 8-year-old kid, that's not wrong. It's an 8-year-old kid. But in the middle of the store, not really the best place, right? Out in our yard, go wild. Somebody's in a call, tone it down. Liana, I'm going to go ahead and drop the YouTube link in. For those who are battling the LinkedIn craziness, because I've done that before myself, right? Where LinkedIn just gets too frustrating. There's a link, YouTube, LinkedIn, or YouTube link for anyone who wants to go over. A lot of times when I join a LinkedIn live, I'm in the live on my phone for comments and on YouTube, so I actually hear the speakers. But here's the challenge I often face with LinkedIn. I just start typing a comment, right? Saying hello to the host and tagging them. And I'm 2/3 of the way done and LinkedIn shuts down. And like, ah. Oh no, got banned. Yeah. Time and a purpose for everything. But there are times where it doesn't fit, right? And Rob, I would say there's nothing wrong with winging it if you're comfortable with that. Again, it's about understanding me, you understanding you, as Sharon eloquently shared, it's discernment, right? Is this person I'm talking to, is it something I want to nurture? Do I feel like, if I go outside this boundary, as I used to say, we used to say, you see this box? They're like, yeah, yeah. What about it? I'm like, this is the need to know box, and you just went outside it. I didn't need to know that. Um, if you've raised small children, they have no concept of the need to know box. They are brutally honest. Um, 12 hours and banned. And that's another thing, right, Rob and everyone is, well, here's something that happened. My son was at the park. As I said, he's an 8-year-old boy. And he picked up a stick and he's doing what a lot of little boys do, you know, shooting. And one of his little friends, her grandma was there, and he pointed it at her and she said, no. He didn't hear it. I don't know. I was also telling him, like, hey, she said, no, don't do that. Stop. But he kept going because he's an 8-year-old boy. She jumped up screaming loudly, like, I said no. Now, I don't know her story. I when I thought about it after the fact, I'm like, I don't know what her background is. Maybe that was a trigger for her. Maybe she lost someone, or I don't know. I don't know. What I want my son to understand is that, yeah, you're at the park and it's okay to do that. But if someone expresses that, please stop, then we should stop. It's just polite, respectful behavior, right? Go somewhere else and do the thing. Anyway, I digress. Sharon, you're absolutely right. Trust must be earned, right? And through my journey, I learned micro release, right? If you're trying to test the trust, is do a micro release and let it sit, right? If everything goes good and it's not shared wildly, then you can do a bigger release or bigger share, right? Authenticity is not about, as I call it, emotional vomiting, like sharing everything with everybody. It's about reading. There is reading the room and practicing emotional intelligence and understanding, is this the right context to share? And maybe it's the right context, but I need to adjust it a little bit. Like, I can't, an example, a leader, a CEO, somebody in management, and they want to be authentic. A common way that people talk about this is transparency. Like, hey, I don't know. Sounds good on the surface, but a simple "I don't know" is not enough. You didn't complete the cycle, right? I don't know, but I will find out and I will get back to you, right? Hey guys, if I seem a little out of it in the meeting today, I'm dealing with something personal. Um, I could use your grace. I don't have to get into the nitty gritty details about what's going on if that's not the right context. I've been on teams where the context is there, where I can say, look, this is what I'm dealing with, and I can get deeper. But again, it's about trust, it's about context. Yeah, self trust, critical. That's the foundation, Sharon. Absolutely. If you don't trust yourself, how can you trust anybody else? If you don't love yourself, how do you love someone else? If you don't respect yourself, how do you respect another person? It's the foundation of everything, right? I am my first best test bed. If I can't trust myself, then I need to work on that. If I can't respect myself, I should work on that. No, I should. Sorry, I don't mean to should. It's an old habit. We all do it, right? But let's look at the two chairs. So, in the first chair, we'll call it the translator. It's the identity that was built in that season where belonging had to be earned in each and every room. Perhaps you were the kid who learned which version of you kept the peace at home and which one worked at school. Either way, the translator's core belief sounds like this: they can only handle the version of me that I built for them. The translator, that version is impressive. They're fluent everywhere, right? I used to go by and I used to say, oh, I'm a chameleon. I can blend in anywhere. And I thought that was like a badge of honor. When I did the self exploration, I realized I wasn't adapting based on context and situation. I was adapting to never be rejected. That was my problem. Because when you're fluent everywhere, you find rest nowhere. Now, chair 2, it's the version of you who travelers. We'll call them the traveler. Same rooms, same people. They walk through every door as the same core human being. Let the room do some of the adjusting. It's not about being louder or performing authenticity, which I'll call a 7th room. It's just you undivided. And the question is the same as I always bring up during the 2 chairs. Which chair are you actually sitting in now? And along those same lines, here's the written prompt. Finish the sentence in the comments. The room where I'm least myself is. Think about the rooms that you enter, that you've been in. And absolutely, Sharon, identity dissolution decimates your self-trust. If you're constantly adapting, dissolving yourself, polishing off all the rough edges. It's okay to have some rough edges, but trying to polish all the rough edges just to fit in, it destroys your self-trust. Absolutely. So back to the question, the room where I'm least myself is. I'd love it if you share it in the comments, but if you just want to answer that to yourself, that's what matters. The answer is not for me, it's for you. Because that's the room that we want to explore more deeply. Where do I find myself least myself? And this is where your mind might have gone. Let's close that exit. Because when people often see this problem, the first instinct is like, okay, just reduce the number of rooms, cut them off, cut those people out, shrink my life, find the place with less doors. That's the wrong lever because the rooms aren't the problem. They never were. Our staffing model is the problem. Okay, let me drop that. Lost my place in my notes. All right. So, as I said, the rooms weren't the problem. They never were. The staffing model. Reading a room is a good skill. But becoming an entirely different person for that room, that's an old survival pattern. Because the work here is not closing the doors, it's not avoiding the rooms, it's ending those employment contracts, one room at a time, so that the same you walks into every room. And I'll tell you, I know this room. Some of you have known about your shape shifting for years. You've seen yourself do it real time. I've done it mid sentence. And I heaped shame on myself over that. And that's the wrong answer. Right? Because I've sat there and said, I know better. Why am I still doing this? Here's what I want you to hear. Knowing the pattern, but still running it, that's not weakness. It's reality. It's how the survival identity acts. Right? I said it to someone earlier today. That old identity fights for its life. And that shows up in shifting gears and going, whoa, why did I do that? Like, I know I've done the work. I know better. But the old identity wakes up and says, I'm still here. The way I used to describe it, right? Because, in my recovery path, we learned about like crucifying the old self, killing it off. Yeah, I learned to do that. This constructed identity that wasn't really me. The problem is I was dragging the coffin behind me because I felt like, well, what if I need that identity again? I can pull him up, resurrect him, and use him where appropriate. But the turning point for me was to learn that when I close the employment contract, when I fire that version of myself, that's it. They're gone. They're not on standby. It's not a layoff. I'm not holding them in a coffin behind me, waiting to pull them back out when I need them. It's termination, end, story, no more. But that takes practice and that takes time and work, right? I didn't wake up one day and go, oh, look, he's not there anymore. No, I had to keep burying him. He's like, Night of the Living Dead. He kept climbing out of the grave. The translator side of us, of you, earned its place. It had a season where that was the only strategy available. We don't terminate them with contempt. We retire them with honor and cut the paycheck. So let me circle back to Rob's question. Rob's got a new question. Why do we shapeshift? Because we're still running an old identity that says, I need to adapt. It's a core part of us as humans, right? Because a long time ago, if you were rejected out of the community, your life was over. Today, not so much, right? A lot of people are living independent lives all by themselves. They don't need anybody else, or they feel they don't need anybody else. They're doing okay, right? They got their job. They can go put their job face on and do their job, collect their paycheck, go home, hide in the home, live a life the way they want it. They're living it. But that's a form of shape shifting. We're putting on that shape like, I'm the good employee. Look at me. I'm going to sit here and do my work. Oh, wait, the boss is watching. Okay. I remember being in the workplace. They had these games that had a button. You could hit a key and it put up a spreadsheet instead of the game when the boss came around. That's shape shifting in some level, right? We shape shift because we're trying to maintain status quo. We don't want to rock the boat. We want to keep the peace. Don't want to lose my job. So we shape shift. Costumes in the trunk. Love that, Sharon. Judy, you're right. The goal is to take the lessons from that and retire them. Think about if you had a senior level professional in your workplace. Learn everything you can before their retirement date. But after their retirement date, let them retire in peace. We're not going to call them up and say, hey, you taught me this lesson, but I kind of forgot what you told me. No, we let them go. We took the lessons and we retire them. Anyway, going back to Rob's original question, what if you have 6 rooms? That might have sounded like a quantity question. That's not what I was asking. This is a head count question. 6 rooms, that's life. Right? As everybody pointed out, mother, entrepreneur, teacher, father, husband, coach, podcaster, SaaS founder, I just added. Oh, how about that? Right? We all have roles that we operate in, but they're just roles. They're not our identity. Right? My wife, HR consultant, wife, mother, homeschool teacher. That's life. We're going to have different rooms. We're going to have different contexts and different situations that we operate in. 6 versions of yourself, that's payroll that's drawing checks on your nervous system. I have one last reflection before I go ahead and open the floor. I want you to take your time with this. If starting tomorrow, every room got the same you, what is the room you're most afraid that would say, you need to leave? So if today gave you the language to describe what you've been living, I want to offer a next step. my identity clarity call, one conversation, up to 45 minutes. We look at what you've built, who you believe you have to be in order to deserve it, and we find the gap. Because that gap, that's where I do my best work. If you're in this room and you've been showing up regularly, engaging, resonating, you haven't decided to take the step. This is a direct invitation. It's open, it's zero cost, zero obligation. I want to invite Rob as my first option. Rob, if you want to come on stage and share, I will share the link to the studio. But other than that, anybody else wants to join, share your ideas, share your thoughts, feel free to join the studio. As always, no camera required. It can be audio only, but I want to hear from people. That's what I'm here for, is to have a conversation. While I've got that out and giving it a few seconds to hit you guys, because I realize it doesn't go out instantly, because I'm looking at LinkedIn and I don't see it there. Kids, work, wife, family, hobbies, friends. Yeah, exactly. Right. Sharon says, work, not work, you. The key thing is the core of who you are in those different roles, in those different rooms, never changes. You don't have to chip the edges off to go in that room. Do you temper? Yes. Do you adapt? To a point, but not at the cost of your sanity, your nervous system. Stop paying the wages that you don't need to pay. And Rob, I'd love to know more when you say she's tired of my wife's always tired of my antics and she loves them. So could you explain more? Right? I saw a post the other day that said, sitting down and realizing that I am my wife's place of peace when she's feeling anxious. And at the same time, I'm her greatest source of anxiety. Judy, thank you for joining us. Glad you could carve out the time to be here. I appreciate every one of you that's been here, whether you're watching live or on Team Replay. If you're watching on replay, if you just drop a simple Team Replay, you can put the hashtag, you can not put the hashtag, you can put the pound sign, because that's what we used to call it when I was young, whatever you want to call it. You can use that, or just a simple let's try this, Rob. Oops, let me paste that, copy that again. Too many jokes. There's the link. Yeah, you are your own sacred solitude for growth. Great point, Sharon. But the question is, are you giving yourself the space? Just you, just personal exploration, giving yourself the time on a regular basis, weekly, monthly, every day, whatever works for you. I try to do it every morning. I've got 30 minutes before anybody else gets up. It's mine. I can run through my thoughts. I can run through my day, what's going on, where I need to improve, anything like that. There's power in the pause. Are you taking it? Hopefully you can see that link now, Rob. Yeah. The jokes thing, Rob, I totally understand. My wife rolls her eyes at me regularly. And if it's not the jokes, it's all the reels I share, right? Look at this. It's a perfect shirt for you. And like most of the time she laughs with me. But sometimes she kind of gives me the look, the eye roll. This is the dance, right? The dance of marriage. 33 years doing this dance. All right, we still have time. If anybody wants to add more comments, join the studio, ask questions, this is your space. So here's another question to think about while we're waiting. Think back to when that room or a room got its first version of you. How old were you? When did you learn when did you decide or learn that you needed to adapt, that you needed to shrink part of you because of the room? How old were you? I learned it young. I don't remember exactly how young, but I learned it very young. Right at home. It wasn't even a separate room. When Dad was at work, I could be one way. As soon as Dad came home, I had to put on a different mask. At school, right? That was another room. Especially after 4th grade, when I was tested for gifted and talented. Now I had to put on the face like I was super smart about everything. The reality, I was certainly smart on some things, but not everything. And I adapted a fixed mindset, and I didn't even try it. Never did sports, never did any of that stuff because I'm not good at it. I don't want to fail. So I learned to adapt. I learned to shapeshift. It's taken decades to unravel that. All right, Chase, glad to have you. Looking forward to seeing you on future weeks. We're here every Monday, 12 p.m. Eastern. Feel free to comment any questions, any thoughts on what you might like to see or hear. I'm open. This is about growing together, right? In my coaching methodology, I have 4 levels, right? R, reframe identity. It's about reframing who we think we are, who we believe we deserve to be, getting back to who we truly are. E, there's somebody. Yay, Rob made it. Nice to meet you, Rob.
I figured it out. Can you hear me?
Yep, I hear you loud and clear.
Cool. No, I'm not so good at technology, so I,
Well, and the technology, I was in a networking meeting the other day, and like I could hear the host, but nobody else could hear. And everybody heard me, and like we were like dealing with the technology and going round and round.
yeah.
And
Well, and I mean, there's so many platforms now for podcasts that like I've got like 4 different apps that I have to
yeah,
download just to talk to
just to be
people.
able to talk to people.
It's like, can we just call on the freaking phone or what? How you doing?
I'm doing well. Ready for a new week.
Yeah. Tough one.
Uh, nah. It's just a matter of balancing everything,
Yeah.
right? Generating content, um, family time,
Yeah.
my
No, I get it.
downtime, uh, having conversations, looking for the right people who are looking for a change in their life and they're ready for coaching.
Hmm.
You know, I operate on a mindset. Everybody needs coaching and nobody needs coaching.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would guess it's I mean, probably a money thing to some degree, right? Like, if you're like, I could use a coach for my writing and all the dumb stuff I do. Um, but I'm not gonna pay a ton of money for it because I got to put food on the table for my kids. I've got a job. My wife has a job. We got a mortgage. Like it's a hard sell, I think.
Well, yeah, it's like when I was a kid, I'll use this illustration. When we got cable TV, it was like the whole world changed. Oh, we got cable
Hmm.
TV, like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But when times got tough, what was the
Cable
first
went
thing to
away.
go? Cable went gone. Like, it's like, do you want cable TV or do you want to eat?
Yep.
So I understand that aspect of it,
Hmm.
but I understand another level. It's about priority, right? Taking care of our family, keeping the lights on. That's a priority, especially as men.
Right.
And, you know, there's an upcoming book I'm part of, Men, Money, and Mental Health, where we're going to talk all about this and this burden that we take on as men of providing for our family, taking care of them, making sure. But yes, coaching is an expendable. Like, if I have the extra funds, great, I can go work with the coach. If I
Hmm.
don't, it's one of the first things that get cut. But it's also,
Well,
so it's priority, and no, it's this priority. If we think about it, if one of our loved ones needed life-saving surgery that cost thousands of dollars and we don't
you'd
have it
do it.
sitting in the bank, we'd find a way,
You'd figure it out. Yep.
right? So if we
I
see
agree.
the value of the coaching and how it could multiply our effectiveness or multiply our income,
Mm.
it'd be a no-brainer.
Well, and I'm saying for me personally, like I can't speak for anybody. There's a ton of people that I know that have benefited from career coaching or
Well,
even life coaching or
it's proven.
yeah,
We've done studies and studies and studies about
yeah,
working with somebody, a trusted person, a mentor,
yeah. Well,
shifts.
when I get more clients, I would love to do that. I just I can't right now. You know what I mean?
I hear you. Yeah. And so that's one side of my journey. And then I mentioned that other one that I just added that I tacked onto my roles, SaaS founder. So I developed an automated system, AI enabled, for my clients so that they had better support between sessions.
Mm,
Because what I saw is in a live session, there's breakthroughs, there's insights,
yeah,
charged up, like, wow, okay, I'm ready. And then Tuesday morning, life hits, right? We have a
right.
fight with the wife. Uh, Somebody cut us off on the way to work, whatever, something happens, and we feel ourselves slipping back.
Yeah, I
And
could see that.
in my own work with clients, I was sending daily nudges. That was a lot of work.
Yeah,
I'd send an SMS to 3 different clients every day. Like, hey, you know, while you're out and about doing your work, whatever, notice this, or where do you feel it when you have the urge to do, like, I had these little custom built that were customized to what the client was working through. So I built a system that helps coaches better support their clients so that they've got support between sessions, and also they're not spending the first 20 to 30 minutes with their coach playing catch up.
Yeah. You said 3 a day, correct?
I had 3 different clients that I was
Oh,
working
only,
with
okay.
at a time. And so I was sending one to each of those clients.
Oh, okay. Because that's like if I get 3 text messages from anybody in a day, I'm pissed off.
Well, and 2 of them were on iMessage and one was on WhatsApp because that was the way things were, best channel.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I built this agent. So now I'm working, connecting with coaches, talking to them about what sessions are like, what they're doing between sessions. Is this even is it a real problem? I
Hmm.
saw it as a real problem, but do other coaches see it as a real problem?
I was in sales for a very long time. And I found that telling people they're okay and you don't need my help, they come back around when they need it. So like the honesty, authenticity kind of stuff, where it's like, hey, I mean, I could charge you X amount for this, but you don't need it.
Well, you don't need it. And I look at it, the fees, it has nothing to do with me. It's a commitment mechanism.
Hmm. If you're paying for it, you gotta
Right. You're going to
do it.
do some
Yeah,
work, right?
yeah.
And well, I saw it. There's a coach I know. He's retired now. He charged $10,000 for 2 hours.
Damn.
He didn't have any need for the money. He was good. And he didn't charge $10,000. He wanted the commitment. And a 1 year working with him was 100K. And he had a rule: you have to come to him. He's not traveling across the country to go work with you. You're coming to my house, to my zone. People lined up to pay him. And I read one story. The guy, he committed to that 100K. He didn't have the 100K.
Jeez. That's a big cojones move.
It's a
100K.
massive cojones move.
I mean, you line up like 5 or 6 of those, you're okay.
He
That's
found
crazy.
it. Like it was the spark that he needed. He was able to get it, but he panicked at first. He's like, "Oh my gosh, I just committed to 100K. Like,
Yeah.
what am I gonna do?" But it was the motivator that got him working, and his work with the coach transformed him.
That makes sense.
The other thing is when I coach someone, this is totally anti-corporate, right? Like, but it's my mode, and my mode as a person and my mode as a coach. I'm always working myself out of a job. My goal is to ever be your next to the last coach. When you finish working with me, that's it. You don't, because you know what? Pull up your selfie cam, look in the mirror, and you're looking at the best coach possible for you.
Mm, maybe. Yeah.
You
I
don't
don't,
see it.
I
I
don't
know
trust
it.
me.
I know it, Rob. Well, in your current iteration, yeah, you're going, yeah, no, I don't think so.
Hmm.
But with the right growth, yes, it's we are our own best coach if we clear the decks of all
Yeah,
the junk.
I can see that.
So tell me more. So you said you're writing. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, I ghostwrite. Um, mostly for nonprofits and um, two for-profit businesses. Um, and I've got like NDA stuff, so I can't say because my I, I I don't know how much you've seen of my personal brand. Like I'm kind of in the ether with my stuff, so the companies that I work for don't want to be associated with me, but they like my content. So
So it's kind
I
of
just
like incognito mode.
yep, yep, yep. You would not be able to tell, and I mean I can say this because I don't say the companies, but like it's boring as hell. Like it's very um, straight edge corporate stuff, which is not my cup of tea. I like to push the boundaries a little bit. But I mean, it's a paycheck. So, but that's primarily what I do. I do odds and ends as far as swinging a hammer. I used to do that for a living as well. But I mean, my biggest thing is I love writing
So
and I love
here's the
humor.
precipice you're on. You're ghostwriting. You're bringing in clients that you're
Hmm.
filling the gaps where you need to. Swing
Hmm.
a hammer, whatever. Been there, done that. You know, doing whatever I had to keep the
Exactly.
bills
Yeah.
paid.
Yep.
Right? I
Yep.
learned that young. Like adapt or
Yep.
die. Right? The Darwin theory.
Yep.
On another side, there's your dream life. If you were ghostwriting,
Hmm.
because you said you love writing,
Hmm.
what would that look like?
That would be my own business. Um, not saying it's none of your business, like my own physical
I
business.
understood. Like, yeah, you're
Um,
working directly with the clients, not
yeah,
through contract.
because I wouldn't want to be in-house because I would like to, I mean, hypothetically, right? I'm not at that spot now. Um, I would like to dictate what I write, how I write it.
Yeah, I hear one word, two words, creative freedom.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I would like. And I mean, I can still do this straight edge stuff with corporate folks because I have my personal brand, whatever the hell that is.
Right. Yeah. You and your experience and the training and yeah, you have all
Hmm.
that. That
Hmm.
doesn't go
And
away because you're over here writing where you want to be.
right. And for me, I think it boils down to I like interacting and helping people. So like even just shooting the shit or hey, I know this guy at this company that you're applying to, I'll connect you, like that kind of stuff. Like that gives me joy. So like even if I wasn't a ghostwriter, like I would still be doing the same stuff. I'd still be on LinkedIn every day. I'd still be pumping people up, pumping brands up, whatever, pro bono. It's just, I don't know what I like to do.
So what's the gap?
I'm new. I'm very new. Um, I started actually writing on LinkedIn or Instagram, I don't know, 12 months ago, 13 months ago, somewhere around there. Started doing podcasts 6 months ago. So first of all, I'm not smart. Um, but second of all, like I'm new to
Take
all
that
this.
back. Take that back.
Um,
Einstein says this, Rob. Everyone is born a genius, but if you measure a fish by his ability to climb a tree, he'll seem dumb.
yeah, no, that makes sense. And you'll get to know me better, but like. I'm all about self-deprecating humor. I have a shitload of confidence in what I put out there and what I do. I just think it's funny, and that's how I grew up with both like my family and close
Yeah,
friends. Like,
I believed that once too. You
yeah,
know, my mom was the most self-deprecating, sarcastic,
hmm,
and then I realized that there was something underneath that. It wasn't just how I am. Do I still practice sarcasm? Yeah, my 8-year-old is already quite fluent in it.
yeah,
He'll ask, he's like, "Was that a real response or was that sarcastic?"
yeah.
I'm
I
like,
have,
"Okay, I got to work on that, honey. Like if you can't read the difference between the two, like I'm not doing my job as your
yeah.
dad."
I have tweens. They are tween girls. They are well versed in sarcasm and wit. They picked it up pretty quickly.
Yeah, and there's you know, I say that because there's nothing wrong with wit. I have a database full of jokes.
Mhm. It took me a second, but I got
I
it.
realized that. I'm like, it didn't register yet. I'll have to give it some space.
No, I got it.
Got to let the bread proof in the oven.
I told you I'm
Um,
not smart. I just talk a lot.
but what I learned for me is, am I doing it because I love hearing people laugh, or am I doing it? And it's only a question I could answer. Am I doing it because I don't want to face some part of me? Am I trying to fit
So,
in? Am I trying to shapeshift?
so is it what you're saying? Is it you enjoy making people laugh versus it's a defense mechanism?
Right. And that was
Yeah.
my shift, is like in the past, it was like I was good at making people laugh. And when I made people laugh, they liked me.
Hmm. Yep.
Today, I
I,
sit here and I go, if you laugh at my joke, great. I'm glad you got a laugh. If you don't,
yeah.
you don't. Like, it is what it
I,
is.
I've only been around for a little bit, but I'm the same way on LinkedIn, where it's like it, don't like it, follow me, don't follow me. I don't really care. I'm gonna push it out there anyway. Like I treat that thing like my diary because I don't have a service or a product to sell anybody. I'm just trying to help folks in some way. If that's making them laugh or sharing the experience that they've gone through.
Yeah. So how could you turn that into a simple
Uh,
offer?
I don't know. I mean, I guess I could be a life coach, but I mean, I've been divorced, I've been shot,
Oh, that one.
I've
Oh,
been
I
in
hear that.
handcuffs.
Okay, here's a story, Rob. I did a 30-day intensive with a client, and the story was so powerful. The shifts that happened in 30 days were massive. And I asked the client, I said, "Can I use your story in my book that I'm writing
Hmm.
called Identity Driven Leadership?" And she said, "Yeah, sure. Wow, I'm so honored. You know, you want to include my like little old me story." I'm like, "No, the work you did, the engagement you did, and the what happened for you was massive. Sure, use it." And then a little later, I get this like, "You're gonna post it anonymously, right?" I said, "Yes, I intended on keeping it anonymous."
Hmm.
Okay, because I can't have anybody knowing who I am. I teach this stuff.
Hmm.
I have to have all my proverbial cat, as my son says. By the way, my son's way of cover, he doesn't like even dumb. He doesn't even like that. If I was reading a book and it says dumb right there. I'm like, oh, that was so dumb. He's like, cat. I'm like, well, how do I let you know it's dumb and not stupid or some other cat word? Because that's his. So he says, shh, cat.
Jeez. Uh, I our tweens have a entire vernacular that I'm not, and I was born in '88, so like I'm
Right.
not like old, um, but like I don't know, and they're bilingual, so literally half the time that they speak, no, probably 75% of the time they speak, I have no idea what the hell they're talking about.
Like it's just like,
It's either Spanish or whatever today's new word is.
yeah, I understand it. And I laugh at my 8 year old. He brings up words, and I quickly figure out what they mean, and
Hmm.
I'm like, and
Do you have to Google
sometimes I have to Google them.
them?
Um, like the latest thing, like he doesn't like 6 7. Like
That was
he's not all
cool 6 months ago.
he's not all into it like some of these kids were. Like he's like,
Hmm.
why does that got to have that? Why does that got to be there? Like like
Yeah,
he's annoyed by it.
no, that makes sense. I what I
And
my
he's also
tactic.
bilingual, but so am I.
I am not. My tactic is I take what they say and say
Mhm.
a crap load to make it uncool, and then they stop.
Well, and we have discussions. But yeah, embrace the weird. Anyway, so she wanted to stay anonymous because what she dealt with, like she had this idea, like I have to have all my cat together
Hmm.
because I teach this, and I say that's just BS. And when I say BS, I mean belief system. It's an old belief that how can I teach this if I'm still struggling? I struggle with this stuff every day. I feel
I
myself slipping back. I feel the old identity trying to pull me back. I'm not perfect.
I had a post. I mean, nobody cares, but uh, probably a week and a half ago, where it's like nobody's an expert in anything. They're even if you're a CEO, like you're still learning and growing. Like there are no experts. Everybody is developing and learning in some way, shape, or form.
And I heard it this way, Rob. One of the steps to becoming a master is realizing in order to be a master, there's still more to learn,
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
right? The greatest masters that we've ever seen, they all know they have more to learn.
Well, and do you want the boss that acts like everything's awesome and he's kick ass, or do you want the boss that's like honest with you and like, yeah, dude, I messed this up. I
I
got in a fight. I got in a fight with my kid or my wife or whatever, or like
Yeah,
relatable goes
yes to both,
so far. It
right?
goes
I
so
want
far.
I want the boss that in this arena is kick ass.
Hmm.
And at the same time, they're still human
Right. Yeah.
and they deal with the same junk that we all deal with because we're all human. We're all trying to find our way through this life. We're all carrying old corpses and old baggage
Yep.
that we're progressively shedding day by day. Um, there's no magic formula. I talk to people and they're like, "Oh, what's the shortcut to learn English?" And I especially my, oh no, I lost Rob. Hopefully we get a connection back. Give that a minute. Anyway, thank you for everybody for who's still here watching, listening. I'm going to be wrapping up soon because I'm over my time and I got to get ready. I've got a call later and I got to get ready for the afternoon. So it's been fun being here with you. Feel free to circle back and, any insights you gained or aha moments you had today, whether it was when I was alone or talking with Rob, whatever ways that this impacted you. Love every one of you. Appreciate you, especially the fact that you've given your. Oh, there's Rob. You came back. Can you hear me,
I
Rob?
can't hear you.
You don't hear me. Oh boy. All right. Rob, are you there? All right. Everybody, take care. Have a great week and